The phone rings, Chris Candido calls me, and he says, will you make a shot for us in ECW? I said, no, Chris, not really, no. It's, oh, come on. We need a surprise. I said, what do you mean you need a surprise? Well, we got the ECW Arena show next month or whatever, and we don't have a surprise for it. I said, well, we just don't have a surprise. No, we have a surprise on every show. I said, doesn't that tax the definition of the word surprise? A surprise is an unexpected event. If you expect a surprise, it can't be a surprise. Anyway, we went round and round like this. He wanted me to come. Nobody will ever call it his thing with Lawler, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, let me talk to Paul one time. And I talked to Paul. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to do this for Chris because Chris was like, it'll make me look good with Paul. Okay. Paul, I know you're full of shit, and you know I know you're full of shit. Just don't fucking be full of shit with me, and we'll be fine here, right? And the deal was, I didn't want paid. Here's what I asked for. I said, I don't want to work for ECW. I will do this shot for you, Chris Candido, if Paul Lee will do something for me. I want Paul Lee to shake Dennis Corluzzo's hand and bury the hatchet amongst their wars, and I'll get Dennis to do the same on his side. And then when the ECW guys are off, maybe let them work some of Dennis's spot shows, get them some extra work, right? Because Dennis has been promoting in the town for a lot longer than Paul has, and that's when he'd screwed him over in 1994 with the NWA title tournament, made Dennis look bad in front of all his friends and everybody. I said, if he will bury the hatchet, shake hands, and agree to fucking let bygones be bygones and maybe help Dennis with one of his spot shows every now and then, I'll do it. Okay, Paulie agrees to it. That's why I said, I know you're full of shit, but don't be full of shit with me, and we'll be fine. I said, I don't want paid. And then they said, well, we'll send a car to get you. And I said, all right. I said, I'll meet you at the office in Stamford, right? So I go to Stamford and meet at the parking garage. He sends a limo, a chauffeur-driven limo. Okay, all I wanted was a car. I didn't even ask for a car. I asked for directions. They said, no, we'll send a car. So he drives me in a chauffeur-driven limousine down to Philadelphia, and we pick up Dennis Corluzzo, and he has arranged for me and Dennis Corluzzo to go and have dinner at Morton's Steakhouse, which ain't cheap, folks. So the limo takes us to Morton's, and Mr. Heyman is taking care of everything, right? So we eat like crazy, and Dennis snatches about 3 or 4 cigars, not to let this chance go by. And then takes us to the ECW Arena. The reason why I can't answer some of those questions, which you have flipped away from, is because was going to the ECW Arena for this angle something you were looking forward to doing? No, I would actually rather been home in my house because I lived in Connecticut and I hated fucking going up and down the goddamn turnpikes and fucking roads, and I didn't want to do this show to begin with, and I supposedly wasn't getting paid. I was looking forward to seeing Dennis Corluzzo, and then all of a sudden when I found out we were going to eat at Morton's, I was looking forward to that. What was it like being in the ECW Arena is probably the biggest heel on the show. He wanted me to be a surprise. So the limousine, after Morton's, took us and held us until it was time for us to pull up to the ECW Arena, which I never even saw because we were in the back of a fucking limousine. It's supposed to be a surprise, so we pulled up in the back. Here comes Paul, gets in the limo, says, okay, we're almost ready. We're going to take you in a minute. But Dennis, first off, bygones. Water under the bridge. Boom, boom, boom. They're happy. Listen, we'll take care of everything. Just like I said, I'm going to have a meeting. I don't want you to go in right now because the show's going on. We didn't want to blow the surprise. So if you go in right now, something could happen. Some of the boys, you never know. I'm going to have a meeting and tell them that all the bygones are bygones and all is water under the bridge and we've shaken hands and we're going to trade talent, blah, blah, blah. And love's in the air. Come on, Jim. So they take me in, and I'm in the fucking back. The match is already going on. I'm going to run in. They just say, here, this guy's going to, when the lights go out, you're going to run. It's dark. You show up in the ring, beat the piss out of everybody, and in whatever time to go was, right? So I'm standing in the back of an arena that I've never seen. I've never seen the arena outside, and I've never seen the outside of the building. And basically the lights went out, ran in. When the lights came on, I'm in the ring with the racket. I'm starting to whack people. I go over to Tommy Dreamer and I whack him once. He don't sell it. I said, oh, you're fucking hurt. Because Lawler had hit him with the fucking kendo stick in the nuts. And his nuts had swelled up the size of fucking cabbages.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I immediately got away from him. And the people pelted us with garbage about that deep in the ring, and we said, fuck you, and I turned around because I didn't have my glasses on, right? And I can't see, but I turned around to where I envisioned that Paulie might be, and I was like, fuck you. And we ran through the crowd. And on the way back, as we come in the back area now, fucking Paul has an envelope, and as they're rushing me to the limousine, he slaps the envelope in my hand. And they run me to the fucking limousine, throw me in the back, and the limousine screeches off. I imagine there's villagers carrying pitchforks and torches coming out of the building behind me. I look in the envelope, $750 in cash. So what I wanted was for him to shake hands with Dennis Corluzzo, say all is forgiven, and agree to trade talent and respect each other's shows. I got a limo ride, I got dinner at Morton's, I got $750 in cash, and it wasn't fucking 3 days later that fucking Paul was denying that he had ever fucking shook hands with Dennis Corluzzo, and that Dennis did something to go back on their fucking deal that they supposedly didn't make, and they never fucking spoke to each other again, and none of that shit came about.